Everyone, welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. On this episode, I am glad to be talking with comics creator Rocko Jerome. Rocko has some history with someone who has been on the show recently, Mr. Eli Schwab. Is Eli a pretty nice guy? He seems nice.
Yeah, he is very nice. He's
Yeah.
he's almost he's almost nice to a fault.
Nice. All right. Well, he seemed kind when I talked with him, and so I just
Yeah,
wanted
no,
to.
he's a very good-hearted and a very good person, and yes, is very conscientious about making people feel good about who they are and what they do, which is part of why he's so good at what he does,
Hmm.
running Cosmic Lion Productions.
Yeah, yeah. So you are a part of Cosmic Lion, and particularly you work on a book called Ghost Agents. So how
Yeah,
did
I
this
like
project come to be?
I like to say that I'm the writer and producer of Ghost Agents. I kind of think of it in terms of like in filmmaking, there's a screenwriter and then
Mhm,
there's
mhm, mhm,
the producer of the film. So I sort of think of myself as like some sort of a weird hybrid between like Paul Schrader, who was the writer of Taxi Driver and a few other things, although I don't really write stuff like that. And then sort of like Robert Evans, the guy who was the famous producer of of Chinatown and Love
mhm,
Story and
mhm,
The
mhm.
Godfather at Paramount. So I like to think that I have the gift of gab, so I'm able to sort of bring attention to the things that we make, and then I also was the one who sort of planted the seed. But along that line, I
Love
think of
it.
the artists as being, you often hear there's a quote that I think is sometimes attributed to, I think, Marv Wolfman, maybe. It's hard to
Hmm.
say for certain about how comic books have an unlimited special effects budget because it's just limited to what the artist can draw. But
Hmm.
more than just special effects, I think of the artist as being the director, the cinematographer, every actor, the director of photography, everything that you need in order to make a comic book is really down to the artist. So I like to think of myself as an advocate for artists.
Love
Uh,
it.
so that's my identity in a nutshell when it comes to comics.
Love it. Love it. Any particular collaboration with Ghost Agents that you want to point out and kind of celebrate?
Well, I'm really just proud of the fact that we worked with dozens of artists, I believe up to 50 at this point. I get them paid, I get them seen,
Hmm.
some of them for the first time, and they're from literally all across the planet. The guy who did the covers to the books that we've got out so far, Barry Tan, is in Singapore. He's actually a native of Singapore. We've got Mexico, all sorts of points across the United States, Australia, Europe, Canada. Like I think that there's fewer places on Earth where there are not ghost agents artists.
Hmm.
There are countries and continents where there are. So I'm very proud of that too. The way that my process works is that I'll see someone's art that I like, usually on social media,
Hmm.
Facebook. People
Hmm.
sort of say it's the downfall of civilization, and I feel like people are kind of aging out of it or opting out of it. Facebook has done nothing but help me and everything that I've been able to do. But I'll see someone whose art that I like and just sort of hit them up and say, "Do you want to collaborate? You want to get paid for your work?"
Hmm.
Usually the answer is yes. I ascertain what they like to draw and don't like to draw, and then I get a little altered, and I'll write a script for whatever it is that sort of fits into my little ghost agents continuity.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
can work well for them. And the greatest, certainly one of the greatest and most rewarding parts of it is when an artist tells me that I wrote something that they really loved to create.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm sure as the writer, you also get art back and go, "Oh yeah, that nails it. That gets it." And I imagine that's rewarding as well. Um, any particular sort of log line, tagline, elevator pitch that you'd like listeners to know about Ghost Agents?
I always sort of talk about ghost agents more in terms of what it is as a project more than the specifics of any plot lines. But I
Hmm.
always sort of think of it as being uh, uh, Michael Fitzgerald Troy was the one who coined this phrase, but he said it's a very art forward project. So
Hmm.
I like to think of it that way. I like to think of it as something that sort of presses against the confines and the boundaries of what we know a comic book to be,
Hmm.
right? Because I feel like it's sort of wide open. So I always sort of think of it as a way that um, sort of a layperson can determine that they have a certain love and appreciation for art that they might otherwise not, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I think of Ghost Agents as being sort of Steranko as genre in a way. Jim Steranko at one point described his work as zap art, and I don't think
Nice.
anybody ever kind of glommed on that, but I kind of think of what we do too. And I think of Steranko as being his work as being a way that was sort of it's kind of a gateway drug for me into op art,
Hmm.
certain appreciation of pop art that I maybe found elusive before that, foreign film, just
Hmm.
all sorts of different things that you can distill into comics, right? The sort of the somewhat sort of bastardized medium of comic books can really become a catch-all for a lot of different expressions and ideas. So that's
Well
what
said.
Ghost Agents is in the macro sense. Um, in the sense of what the book is about, what the stories are about, it's trippy spy-fi science fiction by way of a certain sense of elegance in a lot of cases. It's kind of it's sort of I sort of think of it as something where basically I'm just trying to get the person to look at the thing
Hmm.
rather
Hmm.
than have me try to explain it to them. That's what it comes down to. And in terms of what you said about writing a script and then kind of having it come back to you, it's um it's interesting because it's a process that the fruits of the process are not unlike um and this sounds maybe a little crazy, but it's like a kid in a way because I bring what I bring, the artist brings what they bring. Neither one of us independently of each other could have made the thing by ourselves,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But the thing that we make looks like both of us,
Love
you
it.
know.
Yeah.
Most of the artists that I work with, it's rare that it's been like the picture in my head. Usually, the picture in my head, if it's 60% comes back the way I envisioned it, then that's a pretty good ratio. Barry Tan, the guy I mentioned, his work tends to be like almost 90%. Like I
Oh
feel like
wow.
what I picture is actually what he draws
Hmm.
for the most part, interestingly enough. I don't know if that's because he and I have a lot of the same influences and Darwin Cook and Steranko and Kirby and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's fun. It's a very rewarding and exciting thing to get to do, to write something and then have it come to you. And then it's like I can look at the page and the way that it works, the way that it feels for me is it's just like if you open the latest issue of whatever your favorite comic book is at any given time,
Hmm.
see what the new thing is that this artist and these creators have given you. I'll kind of like have a second to sort of absorb it and be like, wow, that's cool. And then every time it only then sort of starts to sink in like, oh, I wrote this.
Hmm.
This is like a dream I had last night. And here it is.
Yeah.
So it's a high like none other. And I am thoroughly addicted to it, that's for sure.
Nice, nice. It's a a good sort of, as I say on another podcast that I do, a good sort of obsession.
I would say so. I mean, yeah, it hasn't really gotten me into too much trouble. I always say that in life I go through the doors that open. It's
Uh-huh.
kind of the way that I like to operate with all things. An opportunity presents itself and I take full advantage of it. That's what it comes down to. I'm a writer by vocation as well as temperament. I've always loved comics, but I never really assumed that I would ever have. Well, I never even considered that I would have the chance to work in comics. It didn't seem possible.
Hmm.
And then during COVID, during the shutdown, like just a few days into that, the opportunity availed itself through Facebook groups that I'm in, and suddenly, starting with one, then several, and then many artists wanted to work with me. And,
Nice.
it's something that I never take for granted, never take lightly, because they can make comics without me. You know, they don't need me. It's really the way that I look at it. So I am running all the way to the bank with it, so to speak. I'm not making any money, so that's definitely not to be taken literally.
The
Oh,
emotional bank, the creative bank,
correct, yeah,
the
yeah. The money all goes to the artist, and that's a real point of pride for me. I'm not disqualifying the possibility that I might eventually make some money off of ghost agents, but so far I haven't. And I'm fine with that. They work harder than I do. You know, I'm sort of doing things I would already do anyway. Like a lot of the characters that are in Ghost Agents, I had already kind of come up with, and they already sort of had a life in my head and in my
Mhm.
imagination, just walking around. So it's a great gift that they've given me, even though I don't know that they would necessarily think of it that way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I have one more official question, and we can hit anything that we might have missed after that. And usually that is where people can go to learn more about the project.
Ghostagents.net, which is a sort of almost deliberately shoddy website. It's just like a WordPress site that have kind of like turned into this. And then from there, they can get you the links that will get you to Cosmic Lion, where Eli has a lot of the stuff for sale, or most everything is for sale there. As we speak, a lesser known comics, name of the company, version of Apocalyptico was our first big one. It's coming out. It'll be a trade
Mhm.
paperback edition, so it'll be smaller than this. And instead of being on the newsprint paper, it'll be on more standard paper. So that's sort of more for quote unquote normal people, right? There are a lot of comic fans who sort of can't handle um, a treasury sized book, and they might not have the same attachment to the wonderful beauty of newsprint that I and a lot of other obsessive compulsive comic book people have. Those
I
even
understand.
the Ghost Agents Metropolis book. We did a book with a bunch of content from Fritz Lang's Metropolis, since that's now entered the public domain. We did a Kickstarter for that, and whenever this airs, those comics will either soon be in the hands of the people that back that, or they will already be. Um, and you can order that one as well. So.
Wonderful, wonderful.
We're
Well,
always
it
cranking. I mean, it's just been a couple years and I don't let up. I mean, it really is just one thing after another with this.
love it, love it. Anything that we've missed in the talk through that you want to make sure
Yeah,
the
I
listeners
just
hear?
want to, give another shout out to Eli really, because he is, without him, this isn't possible. I mean, I'm not going to do, I'm just not going to do the clerical end of this stuff. I would never
Yeah,
do it. The actual, um, the work of getting things shipped out, of uh, sort of having my my back on the line all the time. It's something that really only he can do, and he does that for a lot of people as well. So yeah, I have to give a lot of credit to him. He's always my partner in this stuff. It would really be a drag to not do it without him. We did a total of 7 Kickstarter campaigns in 2 years. And, if that was just all me trying to handle that, it just wouldn't. I do it once, and then, my first day of sort of handling the grunt work end of it, I'd probably get bored and never do it again. So,
yeah.
there's a lot to be said for being able to work with somebody, and to have them sort of have your back constantly on things like that.
Awesome, awesome. Well, well said. I love the partnership, the collaboration, and Rocco, glad to talk with you anytime as
You as
projects come
well.
to be.
That's wonderful. Thanks so much for making time, and I appreciate the brevity of this. I think a lot of times when I'm on a podcast that goes for like an hour and a half, the first thing that I think is like, is literally anyone going to watch this?
Well, we try. We aim for the commute-sized podcast, so glad that works well.
I love it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you.